John 1:12 reads, "But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name." So the verse is showing that upon the moment in which a believer has put their trust in Jesus Christ, they are given power to become the sons of God. So notice how when it says power to become, that is future tense. So what is that actually referring to? Well, you can have an answer in 1 Corinthians 15, and starting in verse 42 it reads, "So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power." So the new body upon which a believer will receive, it is raised in power, and at first, it's sown in weakness, but the result of that is being raised in power because of the work of Christ doing that for us. It's His power that allows us to become the sons of God. So when we continue on reading in John chapter 1 and verse 13, it continues, "Which were born not of blood, nor the will of the flesh, nor the will of man, but of God." So here, we see the sons of God, they are not blood. They're not born of blood and not born of the will of the flesh. Well, this harkens to Ephesians chapter 6 in verse 12. Actually, we can even start in verse 11. "Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." So again, we have mention of powers in Ephesians 6. Again, John 1:12 mentions power. And we also have the fact that, these things are not flesh and blood. And there's certainly no doubt that Ephesians 6 is ultimately getting at angels. I mean, it's exactly what it's getting at, in fact. Because the context is, it starts off with the wiles of the devil. Again, the devil is an angel. I've shown that in other moments past. And, we wrestle against things that are not flesh and blood. So if you're a human being, you're flesh and blood. So, and we don't wrestle against that according to Ephesians 6. We wrestle against principalities, powers, rulers of the darkness of this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places. In other words, evil angels, sinful angels, is what we're wrestling against. So those things are not flesh and blood. Well, just looking at these passages together, we can actually see that, we are wrestling against sons of God. We're wrestling against, the angels that are not on God's side. So, and then again, as I was showing in John 1:12, power to become the sons of God, that is referring to the incorruptible body that a believer is going to receive. And that incorruptible body, also, when you look at 1 Corinthians 15, it's a star. It's, sun, moon, and stars. That's what it's getting at. And stars are angels, as we looked at in another moment past. So, John 1:12 absolutely is referring to, believers. It's getting at the born again thing, and it's also, according to verse 13, is referring to the born again aspect. But you are going to have an incorruptible body because you are born again. It all relates together, and it's all about actually becoming, when it says power to become the sons of God, that's also meaning that the believers will become angels, actually at the resurrection. So, yes, we're dealing with believers, but it's definitely not referring to the current body we inhabit, because that's flesh and blood. When you're a son of God, that's what you're born not of blood nor the will of the flesh. That's a spiritual birth. And that doesn't mean it's not literal. It just means it actually takes place and it's very, very real. It's just something you cannot see. It's something that, is invisible to us, but it's a very real thing. So, a lot of people, I don't think, have looked at that very carefully enough, but it really is power to become the sons of God, and born not of blood nor the will of the flesh. Matches with Ephesians 6 there. So yeah, we are this is totally consistent with an angelic teaching, sons of God being angels, because it's not referring to the current aspect, the current bodies that we have, is referring to glorified bodies, which are angels themselves.